Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you 3 steps to mixing rock piano. We're looking at mixing rock piano today, but before we dive in, if you're ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and look at mixing rock piano in just 3 steps. So let me play you here what the track sounds like, and I'll solo up the piano as well so you can hear what our finished piano mix sounds like. And then we're going to jump into our 3 steps here to getting it to sit inside our mix. So here's what the finished mix sounds like for this track. Sounds pretty good. Has some energy to it, has some flow to it, has some nice attack on the front end. Got that nice top end that we want, but it also still has some weight to it without being too muddy or taking up too much space. When putting a full-fledged piano part like this inside of a rock track, it's very easy for it to be too muddy and take up too much space inside your mix. The same way that we've talked about before, a pair of acoustic guitars can dwarf a drum set because of how full range they are. A big piano part can do the same thing if you don't treat it correctly inside your mix. It can make the rest of your tracks feel very, very small compared to the piano part. So what we're doing, step 1 for mixing piano, is using our EQ to get rid of what we don't need here on our piano part. So let me turn off our compressor here, and I'm going to turn off our high boost on the top end. We've got 4 moves here, some of them much smaller than others, but some of them have quite a big impact on the sound of the piano. The first one we're going to talk about here, if I take these other 3 moves out, is the high pass filter. So the high pass filter is going to go a long way to making sure your piano fits inside your mix without taking up too much space, because we don't need all of that super deep low end coming from our piano part because we have our bass guitar. And we want to make sure there's room for both of these to work together. So take a listen without the high pass, and then I'm going to kick it in. We're at about 142 hertz here with a 12 dB per octave slope. So without and then with. Hear how much we clean up that piano part and really just focus in on the heart of what we're getting from this sound. We don't need all of that super deep low end. We don't need that lower octave in there on the piano. That's not what we put this in the track for. We want to hear that rhythm, and we want to hear the harmony that we're getting that goes along with the guitar parts. Not that low end. We're going to get that from our bass guitar. So by putting this high pass in, we're cleaning up our piano part, focusing the sound, and making sure there's room for our bass guitar inside the track. Now there was one piece that was ringing just a little bit above our high pass filter, so this little cut here at 172 hertz is in there to take care of that. You probably heard that ringing out a little bit, so I'll throw that in. You can hear what that sounds like. Just taming that little bit of ringing we have there at 172 hertz. Not totally getting rid of it, right? We could notch it out, but it's not that big of a deal, and I don't want to neuter too much of this area down around 200 hertz. Next thing we're doing is we've got a decent cut here in the low mid area at 2 297 hertz. We're doing about a 2.5 dB cut here. This is pulling out some of that muddiness in the low mid area. If you don't take care of this low mid area on piano, then you're going to feel like it takes up too much space here in the low mids, especially with electric guitars and acoustic guitars going on. You got to trim some of this out on rock pianos so it sits and complements these other instruments without getting in the way and making our mix feel like it has a build up here in the low mid area. So take a listen to this without this cut in and then with the cut in. Balances out the piano sound overall quite a bit better. So we're pulling down some of this lower mid area to help make sure we have balance across the board, and then we'll have this boost up here later on to further balance our frequency range on the piano. Last little cut we have here on the piano is up towards the high mid area. We're at about 1K, 1.09K, doing about a dB and a half cut, and you can see our Q's narrowed a little bit as well. There was just some of this in this mid-range frequency, especially if you're using like a digital piano. You can get some digititis here where it feels fake and it feels too tinny. So take a listen without this cut and then with it. Now boost up this frequency so you can hear what it sounds like as well. It's a small cut, it's narrow, and it's only about a dB and a half. But to me, it goes a long way to helping the piano or this keyboard part feel real and blend more naturally inside the track. It's kind of those telephony frequencies, and it's somewhat nasally or tinny. So just pulling a little bit of that out helps our piano sit more naturally inside the mix here. Now we're going to come back to this boost. That's step one we just covered, is getting rid of all the stuff that we don't need inside our piano part, making room for other instruments, making sure it doesn't take up too much space, because it is a big full range instrument, especially if you're playing it a full part like this inside of a rock track. Step number two is using compression. Now, I love using this 1176 or FET comp here inside of Studio One, this PreSonus plugin. I love the attack it gives, and I love the energy injection it puts into especially a piano part like this. So I'm going to click it on here, take a listen without and then with here. Our attack is at about 0.55 milliseconds, so pretty fast attack, but on the slower side for this unit. And then a 50 millisecond release, so a medium fast attack here, but fastest attack on this unit. 4-to-1 ratio, and we're going to be shooting anywhere between about 3 to 5 dB of compression, probably hovering more around 3 here. Take a listen without and then with, and you can hear what it's doing for the volume and for the vibe of this part. To me, even 3 dB of compression with this unit here helps the piano feel more aggressive, and you get that feeling that whoever's playing is really slamming down on the piano and they're giving it everything they've got. It helps it fit better inside of a rock track like this with big electric guitars and a pair of acoustics going. We've got a lot of background vocals, a harder hitting drum part, making the piano more aggressive with something like this. Even just the 3 dB of compression on this unit, it helps the piano feel like it's pushing harder, and I like that. We even out our volume overall, even doing the 3 dB compression. You can see our piano's not that dynamic overall. There's of course some dynamic change because it's a real person playing it, but it just pulls down some of the peaks to help it stay even and keep it up front so we can put it right where we want it in the mix, but mainly using the compression here to get that energy boost. Take a listen one more time with and without. Without the compressor in, it feels pretty flat, feels pretty one-dimensional. We throw this 1176 or FET comp in here, and it adds that extra boost of energy to help our piano sit really well with the rest of the instruments inside this track. That's step 2 there, that's compression. Step number 3 here is boosting, what you want to add into the piano part here. And for me, it's just this 3.5 or almost 4 dB boost at about 5K. We're at 4.95K here. And this is going to add that brightness and that shine up on the top end of our piano. And again, further balance the frequency range here on this track. So take a listen without the boost, and then I'll kick it in. You can hear how it changes the piano sound. This kind of move here is a taste thing and definitely a per song kind of move. I wanted the piano to be brighter so it sat with the electric guitars and the acoustic guitars. If you're going for that darker vibe, then you can leave this boost out here or maybe do less of a boost to keep that darker vibe on the piano. I wanted it to be bright, and again, I wanted it to sit with the acoustics and the electrics here inside the mix. So those are our 3 steps. Take a listen here to the piano one more time inside the track, and I'll A/B our processing here on it. Just 3 steps to get this piano to sit inside of our rock track. Step number 1, using our EQ to get rid of what we don't need. So high pass filter, couple cuts in the low mid, a little bit in the high mid to take care of some of that tinniness, some of that telephone sound there. Making sure it doesn't take up too much space in our mix. Step number 2 is using our compressor to even out the volume a little bit more to add energy and to add some punch here to the piano part so it feels more aggressive inside of a rock style mix. And step number 3, our final step here, is boosting some of the top end up or boosting anywhere on the piano to add what you want to add back to our piano part. So I'm boosting some top end here to add that shine and to add that brightness on the top end of the piano part. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.